Governor Matawale cracks down on illegal correctional center in Gusau. Bauchi records third case of coronavirus. Nigerian Army redeploys top generals, including officer leading Boko Haram war. On business, Minister announced some palliative measures on the power sector. And on the international scene, World Health Organization warns against wearing masks except world is caring for the sick. Hello viewers, welcome to Svtv News. I am Musa Joy Unyiyoza. Governor Bello Matawale Maradun has ordered a crackdown on a reported illegal correctional center which was effected in Gusau, Zamfara State. Governor Matawale earlier gave a wind of a secret existence of the center and immediately ordered his Commissioner for Special Duties, Alhaji Mohammed Sadiq Meiturare, to lead a special team of security operatives to the reported center. On arrival, no fewer than 54 male and female inmates were found in the squalid house which serves as the center operated by one Malam Ilyasu Abdullahi Gamagiwa. The inmates were found chained and maltreated. The security operatives immediately released the inmates and took them to the state remand home and were fed before next line of action to rehabilitate and reunite them with their families. Malam Megiwa told reporters at the venue that his center has been in existence in Gusau, the state capital, for many years and that all the inmates were taken to him by their respective families. Governor Bello Matawale had since directed for the closure of the center and prosecution of its operators. The Bauchi state government has confirmed a third case of COVID-19 in the state. The victim is a 55-year-old man who was tested positive for the virus. Addressing journalists at one of the isolation centers in Bauchi, the deputy governor of the state, Alhaji Balatela, said a third case was confirmed when the Disease Control Center NCDC returned the result of the 21 suspected blood samples taken for testing. The deputy governor, who is the chairman of the state task force on COVID-19, said a third case was part of the 70 blood samples tested in the state so far. He said all the 3 cases, including the state governor Bala Mohammed, are currently being managed at the isolation center at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Teaching Hospital. The deputy governor lamented that the state has done some contact tracing of the first and second index cases, but they are yet to get their blood samples taken. The Bauchi announcement indicates that more Nigerians have tested positive to COVID-19 than the 135 last announced by the NCDC earlier yesterday. The Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, in federal universities, inter-university centers, polytechnics and colleges of education has said that it will embark on an indefinite strike on 1st April 2020 if there are shortfalls in their salaries for March. The General Secretary of NASU Educational and Associated Institutions, Mr. Peters Adeyemi, disclosed this yesterday in Abuja while briefing journalists. Mr. Adeyemi also lamented the deduction of National Housing Fund from tertiary institution workers' salaries. He said that those managing the Integrated Payroll Personnel and Information System (IPPIS) cannot afford to make mistakes in the March salaries. According to him, the IPPIS failed to capture the peculiarities of workers in the tertiary institutions. With this first experiment, it is clear that the platform designed for them did not take the peculiarities on board. Rather, what was done was to massively cut the member salaries and allowances and also deduct the National Housing Fund, which has not been implemented in the institution for many years. The reason the tertiary institution put out from the NHF was that it was not serving the purpose for which it was established. Some of the conditions that were specified in the scheme included presentation of certificate of occupancy before accessing the facility. Nigeria will be able to test up to 1,000 suspected cases of coronavirus by the end of this week, the NCDC has said. The Minister of Health, Professor Osagi Ehanire, however, said it will take at least a month to treat a COVID-19 patient to the point that the virus will not be traceable in the body system. Professor Ehanire said this while answering questions from journalists at the Presidential Task Force briefing on Tuesday. He explained that Nigeria had discharged 5 patients so far since the first case was reported in the country. The assertion, however, differs from the figures on the Nigerian Center for Disease Control COVID-19 microsite. The NCDC on Tuesday said till date, 135 cases have been confirmed, 8 patients have been discharged, and 2 deaths from COVID-19 has been recorded in the country. The official said there are some people who are due to be discharged, but based on the pattern of treatment, the patient must be tested at least twice between 24 and 48 hours to ensure the test is negative. Meanwhile, the Director General NCDC, Professor Chikwe Ihekwezu, said the government is planning on expanding the testing capacity for Nigerians. He said there had been systematic problems with testing, and the current testing capacity is 1,000 per day, but will soon be 1,500. A few days after he appeared in a video explaining how he led his troop to repel a major Boko Haram onslaught, Olusegun Adeniyi has been redeployed. Premium Times reported how Mr. Adeniyi spoke in the video of how Boko Haram fighters attacked his troops with 15-gun trucks and fired over 100 rocket-propelled grenades. Senior army officer told Premium Times that the admission was an indication of how strong the Boko Haram had become, contrary to official claims that they have been technically defeated. Mr. Adeniyi, a Major General, has now been redeployed from the Theater Command in the northeast, which he headed to the Army Research Center in Maiduguri. Another Major General F. Yahaya will now lead the Boko Haram war as the Theater Commander of Operation Lafia Dole. The Boko Haram insurgency has caused tens of thousands of deaths since 2009, mainly in northeastern Nigeria. In the rekindled spirit of professionalism, the Nigerian Army has released the postings and appointments of some affected senior officers. The posting, which was approved by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, is a routine normal exercise intended to reinvigorate the system for greater professional effectiveness and efficiency. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has said the identity cards issued to journalists will serve as their pass. The minister advised all working journalists and other media staff in Lagos and Ogun State, as well as the Federal Capital Territory, to use their valid identity cards to access their places of work and assignment venues during the 14-day lockdown directed by the President in the 2 states and the FCT. In a statement issued in Abuja on Monday, he said the clarification becomes necessary in view of the inadequate time to properly accredit working journalists in the affected state and the FCT during the period. He said members of the media are expected to continue to provide essential services during the lockdown in order to keep Nigerians well updated on the COVID-19 pandemic. Ekiti State on Tuesday discharged its index case from isolation center after being tested negative. Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi made this known on Tuesday via his verified Twitter handle. The Punch reported that the index case in Ekiti was a man who drove a 27-year-old American to the state. Though the American died and his coronavirus result declared inconclusive, the driver tested positive and his female caregiver negative. After testing positive for the virus, the driver was placed in isolation and under intensive Medicare. Following pressure being mounted by the public, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) on Tuesday announced the suspension of electricity tariff hike expected to commence on April 1, 2020 to the next 3 months, which is June 30, 2020. NERC, in an order on the transition to cost-reflective tariffs in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, tagged 198/2020, signed by the NERC chairman, Professor James Momo, and the NERC Commissioner for Legal Licensing and Compliance, Mr. Dafe Openie yesterday said it was due to global effect of the coronavirus and its impact on the average Nigerian. There shall be no increase in tariff of end-use customers on 1st April 2020. This order shall take effect from 1st April 2020 and shall cease to have effect on the issuance of a new order by the NERC. The Commission, which had planned a hike for today, said it is aware of the adverse effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the global economy and its impact on the average Nigerian. It noted that a previous order on the December 2019 minor review of the multi-year tariff order 2015 and the minimum remittance order for the 2020 shall remain in force until 30th June 2020, when a new MRO shall be issued. Alright viewers, we'll go on a short commercial break, and when we come back, Standard Voice Television News continues.
Coronavirus or COVID-19, the most recent outbreak that has turned to be a global pandemic. Watch how it easily and quickly spreads among humans.
That you can save your life and save the lives of many others by keeping yourself and your environment clean. As part of your civic responsibilities, you should help the government to maintain a clean environment in its determined effort to prevent any outbreak of coronavirus COVID-19 in the states. For your own safety, you should ensure regular washing of your hands with soap under running water or use sanitizer. Avoid body contact and avoid big gathering of people. In case you notice any symptoms of coronavirus, like difficulties in breathing, high body temperature, running nose, feverish condition, you should immediately contact any member of the contact committee on the outbreak of coronavirus COVID-19 on the following numbers: 081 65 40 86 96, 081 05 00 988, or 080-6303-5385. A stitch in time, they say, saves life.
This message is from Standard Voice Television, Svtv, Seoul, Zamfara State, Nigeria.
Welcome back on Business. Jemima Samuel has more detail.
Welcome to Business Desk. As part of the federal government's effort to solve the current challenges occasioned by the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission today issued an order that included a 3-month delay in the implementation of tariff measures. The 3-month delay in the implementation of tariff measures is consistent with His Excellency the President's announcement on March 29th granting a suspension for certain federal government-funded facilities to Nigerian public. There will be no tariff action in April. Tariff will only be raised as distribution companies discos improve quality of supply and agree with customers on rates, and discos that fail to improve will be sanctioned. These changes and emergency measures will have an impact on government finances. The Power Sector Recovery SPRP financing plan is being updated to reflect the changes. The financing plan will help support ongoing discussions with the World Bank on finance support for the sector and transition away from tariff support as government optimizes its resources. The ministry will continue to implement key infrastructure programs as Siemens Presidential Power Initiative (PPI). The ministry, through TCN, will also continue the transmission, rehabilitation and expansion program in partnership with the World Bank, African Development Bank, AFD, JICA and other key development partners. To support the undeserved and citizens without access in difficult times, the ministry will accelerate programs with Rural Electrification Agency REA focusing on solar home system and solar mini-grids that impact the poor. These programs continue to be supported by World Bank, African Development Bank, USAID, DFID and other key development partners. The ministry is also in discussion with the central bank to provide financing to accelerate solar off-grid programs with REA. And that's all we have on Business Desk today. I am Jemima Samuel. Thanks for watching.
And on the international scene, World Health Organization official on Monday said they still recommend people not to wear face masks unless they are sick with COVID-19 or caring for someone who is sick. There is no specific evidence to suggest that the wearing of masks by the mass population has any potential benefit. In fact, there is some evidence to suggest the opposite in the misuse of wearing a mask properly or fitting it properly. Dr. Mike Ryan, Executive Director of the World Health Organization Health Emergencies Program, stated this at a media briefing in Geneva, Switzerland. Right now, the people most at risk from this virus are frontline health workers who are exposed to the virus every second of every day, and the thought of them not having masks is horrific. Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove, an infectious disease epidemiologist with the World Health Organization, also said at Monday's briefing that it is important they prioritize the use of masks for those who need it most, which would be frontline health care workers. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Governor Matawale cracks down on illegal correctional center in Gusau. Bauchi record third case of coronavirus. Nigerian Army redeploys top generals, including officer leading Boko Haram war. On business, Minister announced some palliative measures on the power sectors. And on the international scene, World Health Organization warns against wearing masks except one is caring for the sick. That's the news on behalf of the production crew and head of News and Current Affairs Department, Alhaji Ibrahim Garuba Tinau. I still remain Musa Joy in Stay tuned.